And welcome to the webinar, The PPC Ad Doctors Are In. I'm Anna Sawyer, and I'm your host today from Trada. I'm going to go over just a couple of things here before we start, and then we will kick off. So first of all, if you would like to tweet with the hashtag PPC Ad Doctors, we will be giving away an Amazon.com gift card for $25. So please tweet out something interesting that you learned today from the webinar from myself or from Rob, our guest, and you could be randomly selected to get a very fancy $25 Amazon.com gift card. Finally, if you have any questions today, please type them directly into the chat box, and Rob and I will get to as many questions as we possibly can at the end. We absolutely love your questions. And this is being recorded, so after the webinar you will receive an email with a link to the recording and the slides and a best practice guide. So it is my pleasure to introduce Rob Lenderman, who is the co-founder and CTO of BoostCTR. Rob, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
So I am just going to go ahead and kick this right off. Let's get started. So we're going to talk about ad copy today. Ad copy is so incredibly important to the success of your PPC campaign because it's really what potential customers are seeing, and it's what can encourage them to click. So why do we really need great ads? It's because on a search results page, there are a lot of results. And because, with Google and Yahoo and Bing, ads all look the same, it's really the value proposition and the way you write your ad and the way you format your ad that gets someone to click. So I'm going to run a poll really quickly. So if you don't mind just clicking right on your screen, everyone, how do you write your PPC ads? And we'll give you just a moment to allow these answers to come in. So Rob's company, BoostCTR, is a really cool company. They offer advertising on, I believe, Google, Yahoo, Bing, and Facebook. Is that correct, Rob?
We're currently doing Google and Facebook. Bing is in the works right now.
Cool. And you guys have a slightly different approach. You have, I believe, a team of people who write ad creative, and so you guys are really experts on having excellent ad creative.
Absolutely. We have about hundreds and hundreds of professional copywriters from around the world, so different languages, things like that. But that's what these guys do for us, is they write copy and they learn from us, and our system is designed to help them write better copy.
Great. So we're going to get a lot of great tips from you today on copy. So everyone, I'm going to just move along and let those finish up. It looks like the vast majority of our viewers today write their ads themselves. So hopefully you guys will get some great tips today. So Rob, you and I were talking on the phone last week about some of the ways that we think you can write a perfect PPC ad. So I think, I kind of wanted to kick off today talking about how we can structure our ads for success. And that really begins with ad groups. So just a little bit of fundamentals here. We always suggest that you have incredibly small, thematically relevant ad groups because it's not only a good way to get a good quality score, but also it means that you are matching an ad to a user. So let's talk just a little bit about how ad groups work. Here you see on the screen we have the ad group called stethoscopes, and we have some keywords in there, and then we have a bunch of ads. So there are a lot of different ways that you can target your ad groups. You can do product, theme, concept, terminology, tail size. There are lots of different ways to do it, but Rob really wanted to talk today about targeting towards the point in the sales funnel. So Rob, can you talk a little bit about the importance of targeting specifically the point in the sales funnel?
Yeah, so I mean, this really goes back to what people are thinking when they're searching. And if you're trying to target someone with maybe a particular product and they're not ready for that yet, they're still looking to determine who the manufacturers are, what are the different features, things like that, it makes no sense. And your ads underperform and you wonder why. And the opposite is true. If you're talking about reviews but the guy's looking for a specific model, again, you're not hitting what he's looking for, and your ads are going to underperform, and you're going to wonder why. And so you really want to focus this stuff down into what are people typing, what are they thinking, what are they ready to do right now, and get that ad to really resonate with that state.
Awesome. I actually have a couple of examples here that I'm going to show you. So we've all seen this before. This is sort of a typical sales funnel, and as Rob mentioned, there are different points that people are looking for. And so if we move along here, I actually wrote some ads. So in the research part of the funnel, people are looking for stethoscopes. They have a problem and they're trying to solve it. A little bit further down in the funnel, people are trying to determine which stethoscope to buy. So really targeting your ad copy here around, the benefits of specific ones that you have. And then at the very bottom of the funnel, we have a very, very specific, this is the type of cardiology 3 stethoscope that I want. And so targeting your ad copy at this point in the funnel, more around products, is a good idea. So here's that same slide again. Sorry, I'm going to go ahead and move on. So we also talked about differentiating yourself. There are a whole bunch of ads here on this page. So how can you make yourself stand out? Rob, do you mind talking a little bit about ways that you can take a look at what your competitors are doing and then different value propositions or calls to action that you can use to make your ads stand out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's the when you see all your competitors, you type your keywords, as the slide says. You type your keywords. You see what your competitors are putting into their ads. Are they all running 20% off discounts? Are they all running free shipping? What are they doing? And so if they're all running 20% and you put in a 20%, you're matching them, but you're getting lost in the crowd. And you don't want to get lost in the crowd. You want that ad to stand out. And so you start to stand out by maybe it's 25%. You a little bit more, but you'll stand out. You'll get that click. And we've seen that countless times in our testing, as well as making sure you're matching that psychology, right? If you're not matching up what they're looking for, it's not going to work. And also the type of service. In that funnel, if you're advertising 20% off, but they're looking for reviews, might not be the right place to put that. So, differentiating in terms of maybe beating them by a little bit or talking about something different if you can't compete head-to-head on, say, price or free shipping.
In many ways, this all comes back to just building these incredibly small ad groups around lots of different types of ideas, place in the funnel, price, value proposition. So here are just a few of the different types. If your competitors are writing ads about price, maybe you can, instead of trying to beat them on that price, talk about your great service. Here we have massive selection, free returns, and award-winning customer service. Maybe that's what matters to someone. You can also target ads based on testimonials. We see a lot of, really excellent testimonial ads working really well here at Trada. It's interesting that this works, but there is some sort of emotional response from seeing, something in quotes. I love the selection and price. They had great customer service. It was so easy. I could return both ways. We don't have a picture next to this testimonial. Nobody knows even where this comes from, but there is something that lends a certain amount of credibility just from this testimonial. And free shipping both ways is always a really compelling offer. So here's another thing that Rob and I talked about on the phone that I thought was really interesting, emotional language. So Rob, I think you actually had a story about changing an ad from large selection to something like massive selection. Can you revisit that a little bit? Rob, do we still have you? All right, I think Rob may have dropped off. I think ReadyTalk will probably help him get reconnected. I'm
back in.
Oh, hooray, Rob is back. Great. I'll give you just a moment to figure out where we are. So we were talking on the phone about using emotional language and how you guys had an experience changing an ad from, I think, large selection to something like massive selection, and it drastically improved your click-through rates.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the experience we've had is we had a client spent a lot of money on an ad. They had a large selection of items, and it worked well. They thought it worked well. And one of our copywriters said, you know what? That large is nice, but massive has this emotional appeal, and it makes you feel something. And we blew them away. I mean, the click-through rates, double, and it was literally from that one word. And so that's where getting into that mind of people and being able to use the types of words that really resonate with where they are in the funnel. Again, massive may not work when you're looking for a particular product, but it works really well when you're in that research phase. I think same thing with incredible deals. The guy's found his product, now you've got an incredible price or an offer ending soon. That's where it's more appealing than, say, earlier in the research funnel.
Totally fascinating. And this all comes back to the importance of ad testing. Just the fact that you were able to find that data that changing the word large to massive drastically increased your click-through rates. We'll talk a little bit more about the importance of ad testing and some best practices for that a little bit later. But, paid search is such an incredibly powerful message testing tool, and this just really illustrates that. So I am going to go into some of the things that really make up a great ad. How do you know when you see a great ad? So let's talk a little bit about the types of things that go into a great ad. Part of the reason that writing ads for paid search is so difficult is because there are so many things that go into it. You need a very wide skill set. You need to be able to write very compelling copy. You have to, always include a call to action that's interesting and different. Have an offer that's different from what your competitors are showing. As Rob mentioned, having messaging that is targeted exactly at the user who is looking for exactly what you're trying to sell. We do suggest title casing as well, which is capitalizing the first letter of many of your keywords. I think we have a slide about that a little bit later. And then also creating a sense of urgency. So I'm going to go right into this a little bit. Conversational headlines. Rob, have you had any experience writing ads that are conversational, that ask questions? Have you guys tested any of this before?
Yeah, actually, so we use our own system on our own ads, of course. And one of the ones that works best for us is a title that says, "Do your ads suck?" And so it really is like, it's asking a question, it's getting to like, you know what, I think my ads do suck. And so that type of thing works really well for us. It also depends on your product. If it is more of a conversational type of a product, it can work a little bit better. But that kind of sort of emotionally charged, conversational, kind of putting components together to make it better is definitely something for you to try. It may not work for your product or your particular point in the funnel, but you can see a big benefit from that kind of stuff.
I love it. There again, we have that emotional language. Do your ads suck? That one's definitely going to pop. So calls to action. We get a lot of questions about what exactly is a call to action. And the way I like to describe it is a call to action is what tells the user what they can expect after they click. Rob, do you have any comments on calls to action? I know they're so important. We always say that you should use them, but not everybody completely understands what a call to action means.
Yeah, I mean, you have your standard ones, right? Buy now, save today, things like that. That work really well when you're limited on space, and you kind of want to put something in there that completes the ad. But you don't necessarily have a lot of space. But getting into longer types of calls to action, even in a conversational, where you're looking at, go do this thing. You need to do this thing because it's going to help you. So you can't always fit in a really long one. Sometimes you have to do short ones. That's part of the testing, is to try something that's a little more call to action and supported by, say, price and shipping and things like that. And then try stuff that's more, if your product's more price sensitive, your ad may be leaning towards the price side of things and a little more buy now, save today, free shipping today type of if you do it today, today is usually that word that like gets you, I got to do this now type of a thing.
Right, and we're using e-commerce examples here, but there are also some great examples of calls to action for lead gen. Download now, download this free white paper, get started. There are a lot of different types of calls to action, but it's just important to make sure that your ad has something in it that allows people to understand what they can do here. If it didn't say shop now, people would be like, oh, is this a place where I can go to learn about stethoscopes? You have to be very, very clear.
And I think, Anna, I think this is you bring up a good point, though, is that you've got all these small shop now, shop today, save today, whatever it is. That goes back to looking at your competitors' ads. If you're seeing that all your competitors are using buy now or save today, don't use that. Try something different because it will stand out on the page and give you that differentiation. Yet you'll still have the call to action that is what you're trying to do what you just said. What am I going to do when I get over there?
Yep, absolutely. I'm a huge believer that the best ad is an ad that's different from everyone else's, because why would they click on yours if it looks like everyone else's?
Right.
So just moving on. An offer or a discount can stand out against the crowd. Rob talked a little bit about maybe trying to beat the offer that other people are putting into their ads, maybe just trying to word it a little bit differently. But an offer really sort of helps. And we've actually seen as well, if you possibly can, putting an actual monetary value. 20% off is compelling, but saying stethoscopes under $100, or another great offer is like a quantity offer. Buy in bulk to save big, or buy 6 get 2 free. There are a lot of different ways to kind of compete with offers. Rob, what have you guys seen from your end on ways to kind of do you have any interesting offers that maybe I haven't thought of?
There's a few, but one that I actually thought was really funny was we had a company that was using an offer. It wasn't really quite an offer, but it was like 90%. Their credit card processing, and that 90% or 95% of all applicants are approved, which sounds pretty good. Their competitor, 2 days after launching that ad, that 95%, their competitor came in and said like 96%. And so it was that the competitor had seen that just one little number, and I would like to think that they could support that number, but that one little number that's maybe not an even 95, 90, all of a sudden it's like these guys shot up above, and so we had to go back and make some other changes. So it's little changes like that can have a big effect on it. And then offers that, like you said, offers that aren't necessarily in the price, like a free gift, like you're going to get the thing that you want to buy, but everybody's getting Amazon gift cards or whatever it might be. Those kind of things can be not directly related to the product, but can be offers that'll suck someone in because they want a free MP3 player or something like that for ordering over $200. So you get offers like that will make your ad stand out different, and then the guy, of course, wants to go look at it. Like, what is it? What am I going to get? What kind of MP3 player is this? What kind of, years ago, digital watch? What kind of digital watch is this going to be? So thinking about an offer not directly related to the product is another way to go about it.
I've also seen free consultation be very compelling. A lot of my favorite ads, just in terms of sort of, I think, ad writing moxie, are ads from law firms. I don't know if you've seen this, but if you look up, like, here we're in Boulder, Colorado. If I look up Boulder lawyer, I see a lot of ads that say things like, 12 lawyers are standing by to take your call, or like, currently you can talk to 36 lawyers right now, or free consultation starts right this minute.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we do some work for some law firms like that, and you see their commercials on TV, and so the same type of thing. It's like there's a free consultation, no upfront costs, things like that.
Yeah, those can be really compelling. We have some law firm clients as well, and I love seeing what our crowd comes up with for them. All right, so moving along, let's talk about title casing. This seems like such a minor thing, but simply capitalizing the first letter is proven to improve click-through rate. We are so accustomed to seeing this sort of like lowercase web speak. If you look at a page of ads, you will see that the ones with title casing actually do show up better. So I am going to just go right through this so we can actually get to the questions soon. And then creating a sense of urgency with promotions and end dates. I love using promotions and end dates. Just make sure that you set a calendar reminder so you're not that guy who has, shop now, offer ends October 30th, and it's November 30th or December 1st. Rob, have you guys had any experience using promotions and end dates? Do you guys schedule these?
Yeah,
how do you make them work?
Yeah, so we do have we actually have a Facebook customer that does auctions, and there's an auction like every 2 weeks, and it kind of stinks in that you're always having to change the ad, right? You're always having to do it. But what we find is that when he says the auction is December 15th, it performs much better than when he says the auction is soon, and things like that, because that makes you feel like, is this thing real? What is it? No, it's like he's got a date to it. There must be something going on. And so that's where that kind of date can work really well. But it has an overhead of maintenance.
And especially this time of year, you will see a lot of countdowns for, shipping deadlines, for getting things in time for Christmas. It may be a bit of extra work, but it can be so compelling to say, order by December 22nd for holiday shipping, or, only 26 shopping days left until Christmas.
Yep.
These are great this time of year.
Yes, absolutely.
One thing, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying absolutely. You put those deadlines, and if people will respond much better.
All right, so let's go ahead and move along to talking about testing. All right, so here at Trada, we are passionate about testing. I'm sure you guys over there are at CTR BoostCTR as well. I am just going to go right into this. I love paid search for message testing, and it can be so amazing because you can use what you learn across channels. This is basically the most immediate way that you can test what works, and not only what people click on, but what converts. You can use this everywhere else. I mean, you can take a message that worked really well for you in paid search and put it on a banner ad, or put it on Facebook, or use it in an email headline. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we consider to be best practices here at Trada, and I think, Rob, you guys run by about the same rules over there at BoostCTR. So first of all, we suggest, depending on your spend, testing about 4 ads per ad group. Making sure that you only test one different thing in each ad because you want to be able to identify what worked. You guys said that you test up to about 5 ads over there at BoostCTR. Is that correct, Rob?
Yeah, we do it dynamically. We'll go up to 5. We'll go down to, of course, 1. Based on volume and things like that, but it's up to about 5. Once you get beyond that, your ad groups have to be really big, and it's just difficult to track and keep track of. Yeah.
All right, and then next, checking to determine which ads perform the best. Now, it sort of depends on what matters to you. If you're going for conversions, I consider conversion to be a really excellent metric for deciding which messages perform the best. And this is the sort of thing that you can really use, again, across channels, seeing not only what makes people click, but also what makes them convert. And then also, keeping an eye on quality score. That may not be an actual success metric for you in terms of ROI, but having a good quality score is a good attribute of an ad, as it will make your clicks go down and make your entire campaign perform better. Finally, again, you can use these messages in all of your other marketing channels. And you should always keep testing. You should really sort of never stop testing. You should allow your ads to run until you have a solid data set. And then we suggest replacing the 2 least performing ads with new ones, and then never stopping. I mean, the market doesn't ever stay constant. You'll probably have new things to try. Even if you find an ad that you think is really great, we always suggest continuing to test. Rob, do you have any thoughts about testing ads?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not running 2, you're doing yourself a disservice. And so even in the low volume stuff, put 2 in. It might take months to figure it out statistically, and make sure, by the way, you're doing it statistically. 1 does not beat 2 clicks does not beat 1 click. And so test it statistically, but always have something in there. The market may be shifting underneath you. You need to see the improvement. Otherwise, you're your competitors are doing it.
Yeah, exactly. One thing about paid search is, you can kind of never work hard enough to be better, because the harder you work, the cheaper your clicks are going to be, the better your campaign is going to be. So let's do a quick little review here. First of all, get organized. It all begins with these small, relevant ad groups. This not only helps your quality score, it also allows you to be able to target buyers so specifically, from stages in the sales funnel to, different types of offers. There are so many different ways that you can break down your ad groups, and keeping them small and relevant is always the first step to having great ads. Secondly, find a way to be different from your competitors. We talked about that big page of search results and how everything looks the same. Rob had some really excellent tips on ways that you can look different. Have a different type of offer. If everybody else is talking about price, talk about a free gift. That, I think is actually relatively unusual, so I can see that really popping. Next, use this emotional, powerful language. Do your ads suck? Massive selection. Again, we can tell you how to do all of this stuff, but we always suggest that you test things. Rob was very intelligent to use the caveat, it won't work for everyone. Maybe massive won't work for everyone, but always test it. Next is another slide about emotional, powerful language, because we really mean it. And then, finally, always, always, always test. So we are going to go to the questions in just a moment. Everyone, if you have questions, please continue to type them into the chat box. We've already seen quite a few questions. I want to talk just for a moment about our webinar next week, Big Fat Marketing Mistakes. We are going to talk about a lot of the mistakes that you can make as a sort of marketer army of one, mistakes that are actually relatively common and are things that you can easily avoid. And if you are interested in being signed up for our Trada webinar series, you will be automatically registered for this. Please just go ahead and type sign me up right into the chat box. I see a funny comment right here. Is that a bad marketing elf? I think it's a dunce hat. So let's move on to the questions. Everyone, if you have questions for Rob or myself, please go ahead and type them directly into the chat box. I am going to start off with this one from Jay. And Rob, if you don't mind taking this question, we put price in some of our ads to discourage tire kickers and non-serious buyers. We lose some clicks, but we gain in upscale buyers. What do you think of this strategy?
So I think there's a really comprehensive answer here, but I'll give you the short. The first is that's a good idea if your conversions are, say, very low and you're spending lots of money on clicks and you're getting very few conversions and you want to filter out those bad clicks. That's a great strategy. What I would ask is there a way to capture those clicks into, say, getting them to sign up for a newsletter, a white paper, a price alert, something else that you can then remarket to them later and potentially increase their value. So it depends on your approach, but absolutely reducing wasted, tire kicking clicks is a valid strategy. It's not about click-through rate unless you're selling banner ads or something like that on your site, which then you do want visitors.
I think that is an absolutely excellent strategy. I mean, this idea that maybe we shouldn't necessarily discourage people. Now, we did a webinar a while back about B2B marketing and how sometimes, maybe if you are someone who sells massive printers that are like, thousands of dollars that you would only sell to businesses, ways to discourage, people just looking for a printer for their office. And we talked a little bit about messaging to kind of discourage people from buying things that are, thousands of dollars. Putting price in the ad for that maybe makes sense, but I love your idea of collecting them for a newsletter. So I have a question here from Dylan. Oh, sorry, do you have a comment?
Well, I think there's one more piece of that, and it's subtle, but it's people that are higher in the funnel, they don't buy. They are tire kickers. But what it does is it introduces them to your product so that when they do come to buy, they buy. So don't think about it as a one visit, one conversion. There's multi-visits, so it's more complicated. So don't give up on the reviews and things like that. Those things pay off, weeks down the line.
Yeah, I think, again, great comment. So I have a question here from Dylan. Shouldn't we be careful about using superlatives, especially in the absence of something like a creative brief or deep knowledge of the client's brand? I think this is a really interesting question, especially for you, Rob, because you guys, have sort of more of like an agency model. Do you, defer to the client on using things like superlatives, or do you prefer to have testing, just decide what gets the better click-through rate?
Yeah, I mean, we're at testing. So if it's working, it's working. And we find a lot of times you can change one or two words and it'll work. And so we don't, we're very scientific, math oriented on the testing side. On the creative side, we try lots of different stuff. I mean, we have people that write. That's the part of testing. That's the nice part about having crowds do this for you, is that they give you lots of different options and they approach the problem in a different way. And so it's whatever's best,
Yep, absolutely. I think the data doesn't lie. So I have a question here from Campbell. We are B2B that offers products also in the B2C space, i.e. lots of searches in the space are not who we want. We have used price and size of discount to show we are not a consumer play. Are there other signals besides price to signal merchants instead of consumers? So this is, I believe, sort of a follow-up question to the, we don't want to sell giant printers to people looking for small printers question.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a filtering thing, and so use the words to filter. If your only business, like say B2B, if you're large scale printing operations, say that. An individual who's looking for an $80 HP isn't going to click when it says like large scale printing operations. And so you change that language again to get in the mind, even though they may both use the same keyword. The fact that you're looking for a B2B versus a B2C, change that language in such a way that it indicates that you're a B2B if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think absolutely. So I have a question here from Lance, and it's about the content network. Do you guys run on the content network, Rob?
We do. We do the search and the content network and combo when people run combo.
Oh, okay, interesting. This may be a very good question for you then. Lance wants to know, should your ads on the search and content network be different? Does it matter that the ads are generated differently on these networks enough to change the ad creation strategy?
So my personal preference for doing this is that you do run separate ad groups for each one, and mainly it's around bidding is the reason. But it just makes it easier, I think, for me. But the ads can be different. And the reason is that on the search network, the guy is giving you a keyword, and that keyword is indicating what he's thinking. And so the ad should reflect that. On the content network, he's not giving you a keyword. It's based on the content on the page, and a lot of times that is not someone that is looking to buy right now. It may be, but a lot of times it's like CNET reviews and stuff like that. And so your ads need to target the fact that the guy didn't come in and type your keyword. The guy visited a page that happened to trigger a keyword. And recognizing that says, yes, they should be different. How they're different, maybe it's further up in the funnel depending on your product. Maybe it's further up in the funnel. But it is a good practice to do it because you can, it's absolutely the only way to see if the performance can get better on both. If you keep them together, you can't do anything.
Right, that's a very excellent point. Yeah, I mean, one thing to remember is that they are two different types of marketing too. I just saw a comment say content network has been a waste for us, search was far more effective. I think that content network may be better for people who have different goals. If you're entirely conversion centric, and you have to choose one, I think I would go with search.
Absolutely. So, and another point is remarketing. I mean, that's an obvious one, right? You're on the content network. You're remarketing to someone that had visited you previously. You may want to offer them something different. Hey, come back and we'll give you 20% off, which you may not have offered to the guy that originally jumped on your site.
Yep, absolutely. So guys, we are running a little short on time, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time, so I'm going to take a couple more questions. We have a question here from Nick. What about using dynamic keyword insertion to write ads? So this is something that we have covered in webinars before. Dynamic keyword insertion is an incredibly powerful tool, but you have to be pretty careful with it. And I don't think in terms of sort of the genius ad copy that we're going for here, dynamic keyword insertion is necessarily such a great tool. Rob, what do you think about dynamic keyword insertion, and do you guys use it?
So we do and we don't. It's not something that's in every ad, but it is in some ads. I think it depends upon your keyword list. As you were pointing out, you segment these keywords down into very tightly grouped ad groups. Dynamic keyword insertion becomes less important because you're focused on 5 keywords, and those 5 keywords are the things that you should be talking about in the ad. As you get broad and you get very generic ad groups, it works better because it sort of averages up. But you really shouldn't be running ad groups like that. So it's kind of it has its place, but it can be beaten.
Yes, and when used intelligently, it can save you time. It can allow your ads to be much more targeted to the user. But I see dynamic keyword insertion being misused very often, especially with big retailers. And if you are a smaller company trying to compete against those bigger retailers, if you type in something like shoes, into Google, you see all of these ads that are obviously dynamically inserted and just, kind of boring and not intelligently written. A great strategy for competing against those obviously DKI ads is to write your own ad copy. Have it be generated by a human. Have it be clearly, thoughtfully written and witty and with a cool offer. I just think it's so much more powerful than dynamic keyword insertion. And I'm not a hater. I actually love DKI. I'm a big fan. It just used with caution is what I would say.
Yep. Yep.
So here's a very tactical question from Ellen. How many keywords would you put in an ad group? I think this is something that is actually very important for us to think about when we're talking about ad copy, because it is generally a good practice to have every keyword in your ad group in your ads. And practically, you have to keep your ad groups very small in order to be able to do that. Rob, what do you guys generally propose when it comes to putting keywords into ad groups?
Yeah, it depends on how you're going to run them. If you're going to use phrase match, exact match, broad match, when you're getting down to the very specific stuff, anywhere 5, 10, 50, if they're very specific and there's slight variations and you want to make sure that's the ad they're seeing, you definitely shouldn't see hundreds. And when you get to 50, they're all exact match and they're very, very similar. But it just depends. As an example, you sell widgets. You sell red widgets and blue widgets. That's probably in 2 separate ad groups because you're going to have a red widget ad and a blue widget ad. And so as you think about it like that, it gets more focused and it gets smaller.
Yeah, absolutely. Here is a very interesting question that I'm going to squeeze in right here at the end. Audrey says, what do you do if you don't have an offer? This is fascinating. Rob, what do you think?
That's good. Okay. So my question would be, what's your value proposition? Like, why are you in business? If you're doing the same thing as everyone else and you're not doing it any better than everyone else, what are you doing in business? And there's something you're doing better, and you need to think about that because that's going to be what you say. If you can't beat them on price, maybe you beat them on service, or you beat them on fast shipping, whatever it is. So there's some reason that people should buy from you, and that's probably what you go with when you're competing with guys that maybe beat you on price.
I think that service is very, very powerful. Whether you're buying something or you are signing up for something, think about Zappos. People love Zappos because they know that they get free shipping both ways, and if they want to return something, nobody's going to ask them questions, and it's just going to be easy. And that's why people shop there. So I think service is a very, very valuable proposition, and it's not really an offer. You don't necessarily have to beat people on price if you have excellent, excellent service. Award-winning customer service. I think that is a very compelling line in an ad. So everyone, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. If we didn't get to your question, please feel free to reach out to us at at sfox@trada.com. Sarah, our awesome marketing intern who is with us here in the room, will make sure that your question gets to the right person. Rob Linderman from BoostCTR, everyone, thank you so much for being with us today. This was a great conversation.
Thank you very much.
Everyone, I hope I will see you at next week's webinar, Big Fat Marketing Mistakes. Again, if you would like to be signed up for that webinar series, please go ahead and type sign me up right into your chat box, and we will make sure that you get signed up for that webinar. Again, thank you so much for joining. This is the end of the webinar.